So, welcome to another episode of my podcast that pairs with the Aging Well Firefighter articles that I write. And I'm calling this What Was I Thinking? Because I want to give you an idea of my feelings or my thought processes or just a little background info on what I write about. And I'm going to talk about the article that I just wrote and sent to my Substack about theater, about lessons in life that we can learn from theater. And as I was thinking about that and kind of reflecting on that article, I was thinking about one of the toughest jobs in theater. And I've always felt that one of the toughest jobs in theater was to be a really convincing background character. I think the background characters in scenes don't get nearly enough credit. They're really, it takes a lot of skill to support the action going on in the foreground while being in the background and not stealing the spotlight, but still being able to make the world feel real enough that you're convinced that what's going on in the foreground is actually happening. And it's really easy for those background characters to overplay it. And I've seen this done as comedy in TV shows or whatnot. It's easy for those background characters to overplay it, to take the attention away from the foreground. But it takes a lot of skill and a lot of grace to be able to act like a background character, let the foreground have all the attention, but make that world feel real. And that reminds me of the theater saying, there are no small parts, only small actors. There really are no small parts, because even if you're just a background character holding a conversation we call it atmosphere. Even if you're just part of the atmosphere holding a conversation with somebody else, but nobody can really see you, nobody can hear you, you're just an element in the background, you're still, like I said, making that world feel real. And that, I believe, relates to real life. You don't have to be the lead to be an important part of a production, an ensemble, an organization. And to take that even further, you don't have to be the lead to be a leader. There is value in leading from the middle of the pack, or leading from the back, or from behind the scenes, making that production, that organization, that project better without needing credit, without having to be in the spotlight. Gandhi apparently reportedly once said that there are those who do the work and those who get the credit, and that it's better to be in the first group, those who do the work, because there's less competition there. And it's really very true. There's no shortage of people who want to take the credit for what goes right or what gets done. There tends to be a shortage of people who are willing to do the grunt work behind the scenes without caring whether or not they get the credit. And our real impact is really right there, doing the work without caring whether you get credit or not. It's from doing that work that matters, not from always being front and center and having that spotlight. Even if no one is throwing flowers at you at a curtain call, what you're doing is key. It's pivotal to what's going on in the story that you're a part of. And I want to share with you a personal story of a role that I had. I auditioned, back when my wife and I first met. I was doing a production of The Unsinkable Molly Brown with Menominee Falls Patio Players. And I had auditioned for the lead male role, Leadville Johnny Brown, in that production, and I didn't get it. I was instead offered a much smaller part. And I was really disappointed at that, but I took the smaller role anyway because I thought it would be a great experience working with the Patio Players. I thought they were a terrific company. I wanted to work with that director. I wanted to work with that organization. So I took it, and I was still very excited to be part of that cast and to play that smaller role. But just a couple weeks later, I got a call from the director that the original actor they selected for the lead role didn't work out. There was some kind of personality conflict or something, and they wanted me instead to step into that lead role. And I was really jazzed at that. So I did, and had a great deal of fun working with that cast. The lesson there is don't discount an opportunity just because it's not what you initially wanted, just because it's not what you would consider a limelight role that you wanted. Don't discount a smaller background opportunity, because sometimes just showing up, giving your best, being willing to serve in that smaller role opens up doors that you never expected. And for me, it opened up that door into playing that lead role, which is what I had originally wanted, but was willing to settle for something less. And that kind of goes along with the point I made in the article about knowing your role and being able to support the so-called lead without trying to steal the spotlight. That leads me into another point. I talked in my role or my article about listening to direction. And in that role as in the Unsinkable Molly Brown, like I said, I was very excited about it, but the director came to me and said he liked me for the role, but I needed improvement vocally. He didn't feel that my singing voice was as strong as he wanted for that role. He wanted me to have a greater vocal range. He wanted me to have a more operatic tone. And I initially thought that I was just fine and actually didn't really need any improvement. I thought I had pretty good skills, but I chose to listen to the director and I chose to accept his coaching. And as it happens, that director was actually a professional opera coach. He gave me personal opera singing lessons that actually I probably never would have gotten anywhere else. That would have been very expensive. And as a result through that, my singing improved. I developed a stronger and a more, I think, commanding speaking voice. I developed a better range and a better appreciation for the technicalities behind acting and singing. And that takeaway is that listening to direction, even when you think you don't really need it, can really pay dividends, not only in the current role that you're in, but in future roles. That I think has really served me well in all the speaking, the acting, the positions I've been in since then, whether in or out of the theater. And that really reinforces another point that I made in my article, which was the value of lifelong learning. Always be learning, always be open to learning, regardless of what you think your current level of expertise is. If you try to brush off advice that someone gave you, you can miss out on developing skills that can benefit you far beyond the moment that you're in. Benjamin Franklin once said, he who is wise learns from anyone. And I took that to heart. I think there's something you can learn from absolutely anyone, from the most seasoned person in your job to the brand new rookie. There's things you can learn from everyone. And the best performers and the best professionals they're always learning, they're always growing, they're always willing to take direction gracefully and gratefully, even when it's uncomfortable to do so. And being able to take that direction gratefully ties into my next point in my article, another point that I made, which was being able to accept praise gracefully and gratefully. That's a skill sometimes, and I have seen actors who maybe they they dropped a line or they missed a cue or something, and they were disappointed in their own performance. Maybe they made a mistake that nobody else even would have noticed except for them. But because of their own disappointment in themselves, they weren't able to see or appreciate the audience's enjoyment of their performance. Their focus on this minor mistake really blinded them to what they did well. And I've seen actors who were so disgusted with their own performance that they stormed off stage and refused to take any applause or any bows, rather than just thanking the audience for their appreciation. It's the appreciation that was genuinely given. People really do want to give us kudos for the good things that we do. And the small mistakes that we make are usually invisible to anyone but ourselves. We should be open to the praise that people want to give us. There's a saying that says, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Don't let your own pride or your need for perfection or flawlessness stop you from being proud of the good things that you do, the accomplishments you achieve, even if they're not as flawless as you would like. And accepting praise is about more than stroking your ego for the perfect things you do. Accepting praise is about acknowledging a connection and honoring the appreciation that's being genuinely offered to you. Which ties into the very last point that I made in my article, which was you're not doing it for yourself. Whether you're on stage or you're at work or you're serving your community, it's not just about you and your own experience. Keep in mind that it's about service. It's about what you're giving to others. Help others, uplifting others, inspiring the people around you. Keep that mindset of service, and remember that no matter what you do, you're not just doing it for yourself. So today I want to challenge you as you go about your day, whatever role you're playing, whatever you find yourself doing, whatever stage you're on, I want to challenge you to remember there's no small part. Whatever small role you're playing is important in the greater scheme of what you're doing. Even if you don't get what you want, you're getting experience, and being open to those opportunities can open unexpected doors. I want to challenge you to take direction and advice gracefully and gratefully, and to learn, and to remember that accepting praise isn't about just your own experience. It's about acknowledging that connection and acknowledging the appreciation that other people want to give you. That's where real magic happens on stage and on life, is serving others. So go out there, serve other people, appreciate the opportunities that come along and the praise that comes your way, and have a great day. I'll see you in the next podcast.